let's talk about a serious subject in the news right now, and that thing is the student debt crisis. Bernie Sanders, Ilhan Omar, they both made news on Monday because they vowed to erase over $7 trillion in debt for students. Check out what they said.
Bottom line is we should not be punishing people for getting a higher education. It is time to hit the reset button. Under the proposal that we introduced today, all student debt would be canceled in 6 months. Now we got millions and millions of families in this country who are struggling with outrageous levels of student debt. And maybe instead of just worrying about Wall Street, we start worrying about those families and that generation and give them a break.
Ah, Bernie with the bars.
Yeah.
I was about to say why I oughta.
Right.
Get
Get off my lawn. Get off my lawn.
All right.
Told you twice.
Why I oughta.
No, I think that's so important, though, because student debt holds back so many people. I mean, we were just talking about it before, about how many years we all have left to pay. It would be a dream to be like, this month, Sally, you don't get it from me. Like, it would be really nice. I just do believe it's almost too far-fetched to, like, really believe that it's gonna happen right now. It feels like out of our reach, for me.
Y'all, these are hot-button topics, and I understand. I'm in total agreement with you. I think this is a great thing to promote. Reparations, great thing to promote. When it comes down to the actual getting, like, planning and strategically going after this, I think it's too far-fetched. You gonna raise $7 trillion?
We raise it. See, here's my issue, and Laverne, I'm wondering what you think. I mean, I think sometimes we scale down our dreams too much.
Amen.
You know? And that's what I worry about. You know, whether
think?
I mean, there was no, please.
I think we have to dream big, and we need big ideas. Our country is in crisis right now on so many levels, and debt is a huge part of it. I never thought I'd get out of student loan debt. However, I think the bigger issue around most of the political goals that we have is that it's not only about the president proposed. Elizabeth Warren has also proposed a student loan debt, forgiveness plan. We not only, I'm a registered independent, but Democrats not only need to take the White House, but we need to take the Senate. It does not matter what Bernie or any of the candidates propose if we cannot get it passed. And we cannot get anything past the majority leader in the Senate. We cannot.
And that's the key for me is having a structural shift in how we do things, but also having a long-term plan. I mean, Republicans over the last few decades have taken over state houses. We were, Democrats like, we gotta get somebody in the White House.
And
gotta get somebody
judiciary.
In the Senate. Right.
Strategic. The Heritage Foundation started during the last Supreme Court confirmation. I started reading about the Heritage Foundation. They started in the early 80s with the express goal of having conservative judges because they were frustrated with Roe v. Wade and some of the decisions that happened in the courts in the 70s. And so 35 years, they have their conservative majority. What is the long game for people who are progressive? What is the long game? And we need the courts right now. Tomorrow, the ACLU is going to file a brief. This is a digression, but they're going to file a brief for a case that's going to be heard in the Supreme Court that's going to determine whether LGBTQ people are covered by Title VII, which bans discrimination on the basis of sex in employment. And lower courts have made said, yes, we're covered by Title VII. Will this conservative Supreme Court say that it is okay to discriminate against LGBTQ people? So the courts are insanely important. So what is our long game? How do we dream big and think big? And then when we get power, how do we wield it in a way that's not corrupt and power hungry, but it is a way that, like, we have power now. Let's get stuff done for the people and not just for corporations and rich people. And so then we're having a political discussion. Can I say one? I'm gonna say it. We need to impeach now. We need impeachment inquiries now.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's why I started at the top of the show with this, and I'm curious to know what y'all think too. I mean, sometimes we're so tactical that we lose sight of our values, right? So, we don't want to impeach because then it could cause problems with the election. There's always a reason not to do the right thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let's impeach.
I would love for that to happen. I think that's the answer as well, because he's hella problematic, and it's just.
It's not just problematic. It's, Lord, I'm on TV saying this. It's criminal. It's criminal, and it sets the bar for any president who follows him to say, well, he got away with it.
So I could do that.
I can do it too. And I think everything can't be about a political calculation. It has to be about, we have seen this president obstruct justice in plain sight. We've seen it over and over again. we don't. There's a long list of it.
Yeah.
So what gives? And I think that we need an inquiry now because Miss Hicks, when she came in and didn't answer any questions, this McGann's wife, just she's not going to go and testify.
Right.
What is going on?
It's like some mafia shit
Can
right
you
now.
imagine if you got a subpoena, girl? If you got a subpoena and you're like, oh, girl, I'm good.
I'm good. I'm not going.
I mean, for me, it's just, I feel like in 10, 15, 20 years, when kids read the history books, this is going to be the most dark and embarrassing time of our history, other than slavery. Like humiliating.
If we let this stand, our democracy is over because there's no checks and balances.
It's a joke.
There are no checks and balances. If we let this go, we're basically trying to the judiciary is supposed to check the legislature and blah, blah, blah. We have a checks and balances system. If this president cannot be checked, we don't have a democracy anymore.
Right, and is this the pathway to tear it all down?
Yeah.
Like, is this what we need for it to be like, at the end of the day, there's nothing that we have left, let's just start over? Because I'm just scared of what the aftermath of Donald Trump is gonna look like.
Go ahead, please.
No, I was gonna say, like, that's what I'm also afraid of, like the aftermath.
Like, what is
It's because I want him to be impeached, and I'll say that on the record, I do. But he got all his homies is right there on, So it's hard to even going back to just student loan forgiveness. It's hard to think. I do want that. I have student loans. I would love for it to be erased. But I'm seeing all the things that are transpiring, and I'm like, we can't even get somebody who was accused of raping women out the White House to think that we gonna get our student loans forgiven. I just think it's hard for me to visualize that right now with so much else going on.
I get it, and it becomes daunting. I mean, but that was the argument for not fighting to end slavery. What will the country look like out of it?
You're totally right.
You know what I mean? But on down the list, right?
Totally
so,
right.
and 20 years ago, we couldn't imagine gay marriage.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, we couldn't even, 10 years
Absolutely.
ago, I mean, I feel like even when we first met, those conversations were still, you know what I mean? It was still like, well, I don't know if and then like 5 years later, it's like, oh yeah, I went to a wedding. And it's like, it's not to say that there's
How do we lead? How does the Democratic Party, we have a two-party system, how do Democrats really lead the conversation instead of like waiting for the polls to decide what they want to do? And how do we lead? Because what brilliantly this president has done, what brilliantly Fox News has done is that they have set the agenda and they've set the conversation. And this president brilliantly has said he's continually moved the bar over, he gaslights, he lies, he does all these things, and people go along with it. And the entire Republican Party who denounced him during that primary,
they ran from him.
They've all fallen in line because they've fallen in line with power. And power corrupts, absolutely, we're seeing that, right? So then what does it mean to have power and to wield it in a way that is actually for people?
Right.
It's actually for the people.
And I think that's where values come in. We got to stop waiting for the majority.
Amen.
1965, or even 64, right, with public accommodations, most Americans didn't want black people to be able to sit at lunch counters. Most people didn't want black people to get the right to vote, but we still did it because it was the right thing to do. We fought for it, it was the right thing to do. We have to do that now. Donald Trump does that. He does the wrong thing, but he says my values are more important than what the people want. And we just don't block him because we're still trying to play fair. It's my biggest criticism of Obama, right, is that he operated in good faith. He said, I'm going to come and negotiate. You want 0, I want 100, so let's meet. So he came and offered 50. And they're like, we're going to offer you 2.
And that is the piece that we saw. This president has appointed more justices than any other president because more justices were blocked during Obama's administration than any other administration. And so they're not going to play fair. That's consistent voter suppression, gerrymandering, et cetera, gerrymandering the 2020 census, et cetera. So I'm not saying Democrats need to be as corrupt as the Republican Party, but they need to have...
Play the game, like figure out.
They need to wield power for the people.
Boom, that's it.